Hello and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. And we've just had the Sharks Bulls game. Um, have to admit, not exactly kind of the slugfest and the as exciting as I expected it to be. I think considering it's been a bit of time off for them, not surprising. I think it's slightly kind of a return to normality, return to playing, and also the sudden, the sudden brought the sudden reality of having to play these games this weekend instead of next year, instead of playing the Northern Hemisphere teams, may have had an influence on that. I thought the game as a whole was a bit sloppy. Um, Certainly, discipline wasn't great. Um, and the handling was pretty bad, especially for a night where that wasn't wet. It wasn't raining or anything like that. And I thought it just as a game it lacked a bit of flair. It was a bit lackluster, and I think there are quite a few reasons for that. Um, in terms of the positives the Sharks can take out of it, obviously decent win, scoreboard as a score. It's a decent win. The scrum was absolutely dominant over the Bulls scrum, which is slightly worrying considering Trevor has just left the Bulls this week. They're going to have to find a replacement for him very quickly. The returning Springboks did well for the Sharks, and Am playing out of usual position. I think they did well. And the Sharks played the territory game very well as well. Um, that being said, there were quite a few cons for how negatives that the Sharks will need to build on if they're going to get any good results against any of the Northern Hemisphere teams going forwards. I thought the Sharks were blunt on attack. They certainly didn't dictate the game and allowed the Bulls to run back at them too much, especially the back three. And I think in the first half, certainly, they were kept in the game by the Bulls giving them penalties rather than, through their own actions. And I think this was because of what seemed to be a fairly disjointed game plan. It seemed at times that Ruan Pinar and Bush Chamberlain weren't on the same wavelength on attack, which caused a lot of issues. Going on to the Bulls, it's interesting because they in the first half they were dominant. They clearly won it, and yet trying to think of like the positives the Bulls can take out of this game. I think their back three were brilliant, with Tambwe, Aronsa, and Creel. I think they played really well and they made some very good breaks. Um, Other than that, I don't think there's anything that I would be like, that was great. That was really good. Their lineouts were bad. There were many overthrows. Um, their scrum was destroyed by the Sharks, which was great for the Sharks. Poor handling, both sides, but the Bulls couldn't afford it. They weren't disciplined. Arno Buerta's penalty didn't need to happen, but he was warned. The whole team was warned that the next person to start something would get penalised. He goes and does it, gets penalised. I mean, you can't get more straightforward than that. And they allowed the Sharks to stay in the game by constantly giving away penalties. Mornay Stain kicked well. He did kick well. But other than that, I mean, you can't. They're relying too much on that. And I thought their first half try was good. It was a good try. I think it was a try. From what I could see, it was enough on the line, I reckon. But the problem with that is, or rather with the Bulls, is any Northern Hemisphere team they play, they will and have been getting destroyed, and it will keep happening if they don't change, if they don't make those necessary changes and improvements to their game. I think it's nice to see South African teams playing again, and I'm glad that the whole thing, because the games against the Northern Hemisphere teams coming in were postponed. I'm glad they didn't just scrap all the games going forwards for a bit. and it's nice to see them playing again. And they need to, but there's a lot of improvement that has to happen. To be fair, both for the Sharks and for the Bulls. It'll be interesting to see how the Stormers and the Lions get on tomorrow. But yeah, it was a fairly, I wouldn't say exciting game. It wasn't an exciting game. It was a gritty game. And I think the Sharks just had the better discipline of the two teams. And the yellow card definitely cost the Bulls. Um, Other than that, I think there's a lot to work on for both teams going forwards, especially if they want to make a mark in this competition. And we will see how they do as they progress, and we will be here to commentate on all the games as they go forwards. This is Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. Have a good weekend.